What's up? Welcome back to Media Breakdown, the channel where we take a movie apart until it makes sense, even when the movie itself really doesn't want to explain anything. Today we're doing Evil Dead Burn, which dropped in theaters this morning, July 10th, and I need to talk about this ending because it's doing about 4 things at once, and most people are gonna miss at least 2 of them. Alright, real talk. You think you're getting cabin book blood roll credits. What you actually get is a 110-minute panic attack disguised as a family reunion. So let's get into what actually happens. Quick scene setter for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. And yeah, spoilers, obviously, turn back now if you care. Alice, played by Sohaila Yacoub, just lost her husband Will in a car crash. She heads out to stay with his family to grieve. His parents Edgar and Susan, his brother Joseph, Joseph's girlfriend Thaya, and Grandma Polly. And within like 10 minutes you can tell this family is rotten under the surface. Susan's cold. Edgar's got that quiet, controlling energy. It's giving generational trauma, and I mean that as a compliment because most horror movies say this family has secrets and then just show you a creepy painting. This one actually earns it. Here's the twist nobody's talking about enough. Will didn't die in a normal accident. He was killed by a Deadite, specifically the possessed Jessica from Evil Dead Rise. That's the connective tissue between the 2 movies, and it's a smart choice because it means Burn isn't a reboot or a retread, it's picking up threads from 2023 and just letting them sit in the background until they matter. The actual awakening happens because Joseph, Hunter Duman's character, already has the Book of the Dead. Not discovers it in a cabin, already has it, inherited from his grandfather Benjamin, who was part of this cult called the Circle of the Weissmen. Up in the attic, next to the book, there's also a Kandarian Dagger. And when that thing gets unsealed, that's your ignition point. The Deadites wake up from wherever they've been since the end of Rise and immediately start working through this family one by one. Now here's where the film gets genuinely mean. Edgar turns first, right after Will's funeral, because grief is basically an open door for this franchise. Possessed Edgar kills the family dog. Sorry to whoever needed that warning. Badly wounds Thaya, and then just leaves. Doesn't finish the job. Almost like he's setting a trap for round 2. Grandma Polly gets turned next, and she and Deadite Edgar start working together to break Susan down psychologically before they even touch her physically. And that's when Susan drops the line that reframes the entire Dagger plot. The Deadites aren't really the enemy here. They just want back something her father stole. Which, okay, that's a genuinely interesting piece of lore. It repositions the Deadites less as chaos monsters and more as like repo men from hell. I did not expect Evil Dead to make me think about property law, but here we are. Joseph goes down off screen after taking out Thaya's Deadite, which honestly felt like a bit of a cheat pacing-wise. I wanted that fight on camera, but I get why they cut away. They needed the runtime for the finale. And the finale is the whole movie. This is the part you need to actually sit with. Throughout the film, there's this detail sitting quietly in the background. A burn mark on Alice's stomach. Hot water, old. Will's family sees it and just doesn't ask. Doesn't want to know. So when Will comes back as a Deadite in the 3rd act, and Alice finally stabs him with the Kandarian Dagger and then crushes his skull once he flips back to human, that's not a final girl beating a monster. That's a woman finally getting to finish something she should have been allowed to finish years ago. The Deadite plot is basically a delivery mechanism for that one moment. And I'll be honest, it's the first time in this franchise's 45-year history I've seen the kill scene land as catharsis instead of just a gross-out beat. By the time the dust settles, almost everyone possessed is dead, mostly by Alice's hand. Polly's the only one who gets out of the house, minus a leg, and that detail matters because it's the setup for Stinger number 1. Okay, credits scenes because there are 2, and neither one is a throwaway. Mid-credits, Polly is still moving down a road after escaping the house. A woman stops to help her. Polly acts like a sweet old lady and says she is having trouble with her legs. But the scene quickly turns dark and shows that the evil inside her is still active. It is grim, but it also brings back a little of the classic twisted humor that made the older Evil Dead movies so memorable. If you miss that old Bruce Campbell-style energy, this scene gives you a small taste of it. Post-credits is the actual big reveal. This one connects directly back to Evil Dead Rise. We see a strange mirror world moment with a lonely kid, an urn with a name on it, and Ellie from Rise returning through the glass. The line "Mommy is back" works as a hook, a callback, and a warning at the same time. It confirms that what happened at the end of Rise did not truly destroy the evil. It only forced it to search for a new form. So structurally, this franchise is no longer just doing separate cursed families in separate locations. It is building toward a bigger connected story. That is a much bigger swing than I expected from what looks like a standalone sequel. So what does it all mean when you zoom out? On a character level, Evil Deadburn is using the Deadites almost like a pressure test. Every person in this family was already causing harm before a single demon showed up. Susan's resentment toward her own father, Edgar's control issues, Polly's ugliness toward outsiders. The literal violence just exposes the emotional violence that was already sitting there. Alice is the moral center, sure, but the movie doesn't let her off clean either. She's got her own resentment simmering the whole runtime, and the last shot makes it pretty clear she's free of Will's family, but maybe not free of what they did to her. That ambiguity is the whole point. This isn't a good triumphs, evil defeated ending. It's a she survived, the trauma didn't ending. My actual opinion, for what it's worth, the front half drags a little. About 20 minutes of family dynamics setup that could have been trimmed, and by the time you hit the third act, it almost feels like it's building to a second ending before the real one. But the Alice and Will scene alone makes the whole thing worth it, and that post-credits Ellie reveal might be the most excited I've been for a future Evil Dead installment since Rise's ending. Evil Dead Wrath in 2028 is apparently a 1972 set prequel though, so don't expect Ellie's story to pay off anytime soon. That thread's getting left on a shelf for a while. If this breakdown actually helped, smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you'd think. Subscribe if you're new, because I've got the rest of the Peter Parker's Darkest Timeline series dropping in the run-up to Brand New Day on July 31st, and you don't want to miss those. Until next time, I'm out. Stay weird, stay analytical.